Welcome back. It's been a while. I mean, I guess you probably wouldn't be able to tell from the videos because I don't think there's been that long of a break, but it's been about a week and a half since I've been out on the kayak, and it's been even longer since I went out fishing because the last few times I went out was for lobster, and I was editing for a little while, and then what was I doing? I don't know. I think I was like taking a couple days off, and then the wind really kicked up the last couple days, so I haven't been able to get out. And so finally today I'm back out here. And before we get started, just wanted to really quickly thank Mystery Tackle Box for sponsoring today's video. If you're watching this as the video's dropped, we're in the middle of Members Week, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that towards the end of the video. But anyways, check them out if you haven't done so already. Thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. And the lure we're going to start off with is called the Asia 130 Bullet. This little lure right here. The only problem with this is these little hook keepers they got on here. Really annoying to get off, so that's what we're in the middle of right now. I'm marking a lot of stuff right here. So one thing I like to do before I get going is just kind of hold this lure off to the side and see what kind of action. I think we got to get going a little faster for this thing. I like the look of this lure, but I don't really like the action. I don't like the action on this, so let's change this out. Alright, so now I'm going to try this little guy right here. It's just a little bit smaller profile, but I think this will get the job done. It's called the Matrix Rip Shad. It kind of looks like a little anchovy. By the way, all the lures I'm using in today's video came to me in the Saltwater Inshore Mystery Tackle Box monthly subscription box. So if you're interested in signing up for that, you can do so. Use the promo code in the description. You'll get your first box for just $10. Alright, yeah, this looks a lot better. This one we can work with. So I'm just going to drop this back. We're going to kind of work the edge of the shoreline. I think I'm going to work this shoreline all the way across. And then if I don't get anything, then we might change it up a little bit. But typically these striped bass are kind of holding tight to structure, pushing bait up against the shore. So I think we should have a good chance of finding one if we kind of work this shoreline. This is a rocky shoreline right here. Usually, you know, generally speaking, rocky shorelines tend to hold more bait than like a sandy shoreline. There's more, you know, areas for those little bait fish to hang out. Lure, see how far it'll dive down. Dives down to 3 feet. We're gonna get right up tight to the shoreline here. So if you can see the end of the rod there, you can see the tip just kind of going like this. That's the action of the lure. So I'll watch that, and then if that ever stops, usually that means I've hung up on some grass or something. So obviously then in that case you want to reel it up and check your line, but always watching that tip, because that's the action of the lure. You want the action of the lure to be working its magic down there. By the way, the reason I came out to the bay today to try and troll for some striped bass, I went on Instagram Live last weekend. I was stuck in like bumper to bumper traffic, so I thought why not say what's up to you guys, see how you guys are doing, and asked you guys what you guys wanted to see this week. So this is why I'm out here trolling the San Francisco Bay, trying to catch striped bass, trying to do it for you guys. So shout out to all those people. I think it was like 41 people were on the Instagram Live. Shout out to all you guys. I'll try to catch one for you. Let's see if we can make it happen. All right, well, no luck. So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, change things up. I'm gonna stick with this lure, but I'm gonna fish it on the bottom. This whole time I've been trolling top line. I kind of work the shoreline over here, Came out offshore. Now I'm in 11 feet of water. I mean, it's not way off, but away from the rocks. And unfortunately, no luck. So I didn't say this earlier, but this was kind of my game plan, to troll for about an hour, 2 hours. Actually, it's been 2 hours now, yeah. And then I was gonna do this bottom fishing setup for halibut. And the reason why I did it this way is because the tide right now is much better for halibut. Right now it's 10:30, and I believe the low tide is at 11:15, something like that. So it's gonna be really slack for the next couple of hours. And when you're fishing inside the San Francisco Bay, slack tide is the best time to fish for halibut in general. I mean, you can catch them other times, but generally speaking, you can fish when the tide's not moving as much. You'll have a better chance of hooking up with a halibut. Still could be striper down there, so maybe I'll still hook a striper. It's very possible, but we'll see. I think it's actually raining. Probably the first rain the Bay Area has seen this year. Yeah, it's raining. What the heck? Never rains out here. There's a fish. There's a fish. There's a fish. Hey. What is this? I don't know what it is, but it's a fish. No skunk, baby. No skunk. Oh no. Come on. No, still there. What is this? Oh, it's a halibut. There is halibut in here. I mean, it's definitely not a keeper, but it's not a tiny fish. Let's see if I can show you guys here. So, in case you haven't watched the channel for a while, I always say this when I catch a small halibut, but you definitely don't want to net a halibut, even if it's undersized. Well, actually, especially if it's undersized, you don't want to net it. And the reason for that is their tails are super delicate, and a net will actually split the tail. It will dig into that tail and split it. So that is why I hardly ever net a halibut. The only time I'll potentially net it, and I'll try to do so very, very gently, is if I think it's a keeper, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, first halibut I've caught in a while. These are, if you've never seen them before, they're like fluke on the East Coast, or like a flounder kind of thing. But these get a little bit bigger than those. And this is just a little small one, probably about 18 inches or so. If you wanted to keep these, they're very good eating, but in California, they need to be 22 inches in order to keep it. This one's definitely not that size. So you need not the most graceful release, but really fine. All right, let's try it again. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think I got a bite actually maybe 30 seconds before, I actually hooked that fish, and I'd be willing to bet, I don't have any underwater footage to prove it, but I'd be willing to bet that it was the same fish that came back and committed the second time. So a lot of times when I get hit when I'm trolling for halibut or even other fish too, is if I get a bite, it doesn't stick, try not to touch anything, just keep moving. Sometimes you want to check your bait, but oftentimes I'll wait a couple minutes, just keep moving forward, keep going that same speed, and a lot of times those fish, halibut, salmon too, will come back and come back for the kill. So anyways, I think that's what happened on that one. Not 100% sure, but just a little tip for you guys. If you get bit like that, try and keep your thing going. So as I mentioned earlier, Catchco has Members Week going on right now. And on top of all the normal perks that you get for being a member of the shopcarls.com website, free shipping, all this stuff like that, they got some extra stuff going on right now. So one of them is every $50 or that you spend, you get a credit of $10 towards your next purchase, as well as some items that are exclusive only to members are for sale right now. So it's definitely interesting. I definitely recommend checking out. And on top of that, if you're not a member or you've never been a member, you can start a free trial and then cancel it after the week if you want to. It'll be no cost to you, and you get all the benefits that all the paid members get. And the normal discount code or promo code that I normally plug is still valid right now. So a lot of stuff going on right now. And on top of that, all the baits that you've seen in today's video, they are available on that website. So if you're interested, definitely recommend checking it out. And this is the perfect time to get started if you're interested in becoming a member. Oh, that's a big fish. What is that? Oh man, that's something bigger. That's something bigger. What is that? What is that? That was weird. I thought I was getting like a small bite from something small, and then this is good size, whatever it is. Just took a hold, and it is heavy, whatever it is. I don't know if it's a halibut. If it's a halibut, it's probably a keeper. Well, good thing I brought this today. Didn't really know what to expect, but I might have just hooked into a good sized halie here. What is this? I could have also hooked a ray. Possible this is a stingray of some sort. Coming up. Oh, it is a halibut. Oh, but I hooked it funny. Okay, well, we won't need this. Man, it felt real heavy because I hooked it kind of on the side. So that is what happened. It was getting hit by something small, and then when I hooked it, you can see here, it just got hooked in the side, so it was dragging a lot of water. Felt real big. Just hooked. Sorry, bro. All right, halie number 2. Probably a little smaller than the first one, but good sign for future halibut generation. Quick release there. I thought that one was really big because it got hooked on the side, and then I was basically bringing in like a parachute. So if you're not familiar with the Bay Area halibut scene, this is not the prime time, not good season for halibut right now, even in the bay. So really right now, any halibut's a good halibut. But there are some keepers out here, so you never know. I thought maybe I had one there, but not quite. I think I need it a little bit slower. I'm noticing that I'm getting more hits when I go a little bit slower, so I'm gonna try slowing down my speed a little bit. I don't want to drag on the bottom either. So with this setup, I like to tick off the bottom. Tick, tick, tick. Not drag that weight on the bottom. It ticks every once in a while. So with this bottom bouncing, either with this or even if you're using bait too, I always like to bring my bait up every 15 minutes or so to check my bait. I didn't have any that time, but a lot of times there's a lot of junk on the bottom of the, especially here in the bay where I'm fishing. There's a lot of junk down there that it could pick up, and if you're dragging a piece of seaweed or something, more than likely a fish isn't going to eat that lure because it probably won't have the right action. So it's good to check your bait every so often. I like to do every 15 minutes or so. Especially with this setup, if you're not using bait, super easy. Just bring it up, bring it back down. It only took me about 30 seconds. It's not like you're wasting a lot of fishing time by bringing it up to check it. So I think it's important to do so. I think it's definitely worth it. Oh, there's a fish. Oh, that's something good. Whoa. Where did that come from? That was hit and run. Oh man, it's a tiny little fish. This halibut, I don't know what got into him, but this guy went for a run as soon as he hit the bait. Maybe because I hooked him right in the top of the forehead. Oh, I got him right in the eye. Sorry, buddy. Surgery. Okay. Halibut number 3. That one hit him good. Definitely the best hit of the day. Probably the smallest fish. But not always the size of the fish. It's the strength of the fight. I don't know what I'm saying, but anyways. Alley number 3. Alright guys, we made it back to the harbor and I'm just loading up my car here. And I think I've been asked probably just under 1 billion times how I load this kayak up on my car. And really there's 2 ways to make it really easy. One is if you have a pickup, just slide it right in the back. Very, very simple. And 2 is if you have 2 people, it becomes a lot easier. But often for me, well, always the case for me, I don't have a truck, I have a Corolla. And then often for me, I'm fishing out here by myself, so I don't have the luxury of having another person to help me lift it up. So let me show you how I do it with just me car topping on the Corolla. So I'm taking off all my accessories, the battery, the seat, the motor and everything. I don't want it to be any heavier than it needs to be. And then on top of that, oh, just fell off. I put a towel up on my car. While I'm at it, if you have any nice car, Ferrari, Lamborghini, really anything you don't want scratched, wouldn't recommend car topping a kayak up there. One, the kayak is going to scratch it at some point, even if you're super careful about it. 2, the salt water, once the water evaporates, you're left with the salt, and I feel like that can't be good for any paint job. So anyways, best to use your old beat up car if you're going to be car topping a kayak. So let's get to it. So I'm going to start with my kayak position right about here. The front of my kayak is just about even with the middle of my driver's seat, or my driver's door, driver door, I don't know what you call it. Anyway, the front door on the driver's side is right about even with there. And if your cars might be a little different depending on how the racks are, but basically you want it so when you lift it, you want the front end to just be over this back bar. So get it up there. I can't lift the whole kayak by myself, but I can lift half of it. If I get half there. So that's why we have the towel there, so when we rest it up there, it won't scratch up the car. And then take the back half, slide it up. That. And once we have the front end on the rack, then you can just slide it right up to this again. There you have it. Not too hard. I mean, it is definitely hard the first time you do it, but once you've done it a few times, it's not too bad. And this was actually even a little harder because I was on this boat ramp. The decline makes it a little more challenging, but got it up there, no problem. All right, trying to use the car to block the wind a little bit, but anyways, nice to get back out on the water. Like I said, it's the first time I've been out there in a while. Tried to get those striper, but I couldn't find them today. Ended up finding a few little halibut out there. So fun day out there, and formal apology to all the Instagrammers from the Instagram Live. I couldn't find that striper, but I promise you guys, you will see a bay striper video sometime soon. So I didn't get him today, but doesn't mean I'm not going to come back and try and get him again. So anyways, thank you to Ketchco for sponsoring today's video. Like I said earlier, links in the description if you want to check out any of that stuff. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.